The Kannur Squad, Megastar Mammootty's blockbuster film which went on to make 100 crores at the box office. A massive film from Malayalam cinema which I would say is not a strong suit of the industry. And personally the ones I have seen didn't end up working for me. But this film, even with its flaws, actually managed to work for me. How did it happen? Let's break it down. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince, and if you don't know, I have another channel called Nona Prince React where we do a movie watch-alongs. So a lot of people actually watch this film with me live, and through that I got to know a lot of interesting things, behind the scene details, some history related to this project, the connection between the director-writer brothers and Mammootty. In the past, their father, C.T. Rajan, had actually made a film with Mammootty which sadly went under and never saw the light of the day, and he actually went bankrupt. And years later, both his son makes a movie with him, and it ends up being the 6th highest grossing Malayalam film. What a story. This itself needs to be made into a film. Now the genre of this film is very common in Malayalam cinema. Police, procedural, investigation, thriller. I've seen multiple films like this. And I remember when I saw the trailer for this movie, it reminded me of another Malayalam film called Kuttavayam Sikshayam, which in its treatment is very dry and grounded. Whereas this film has a total commercial treatment, but with a lot of nuances and depth. And you know, this is actually the framework I always wanted and expected from Malayalam cinema. That whenever they make a massy film, they will have a lot of details and nuances. It would not be a film, where that phrase is used, turn your brain off. There were few moments like this, but overall they managed to keep the film intact. Now the film working or not working for you can depend on the perspective you have, the way you choose to look at it. The first one is that they had a really good narrative and they thought, let's massify it. Let's add that masala, over the top sequence, slow-mo action. Why? To make it more accessible to the masses. And that would be considered a compromise. That you had a really good narrative, solid, tight, but just to massify, you added these things. Now the other way to look at it is that it always supposed to be a massy film, slow-mo action. The objective was to create those whistle-worthy moments, use the star power of the actor. But you decided to add more nuance and depth to the narrative, to push the film forward, to make it a better experience. And that is an achievement. You could have just made a slow motion film, 10 people flying, the hero walking in slow motion, the wind coming, and that's it. Don't need to add more plot. Just focus on that. But you didn't. You added more things. You made the narrative rich. So which one is it for you? For me, personally, it's actually a mix of both. Now, if you read about the film, the makers actually wanted to make a documentary on this, the real people, the real Kannur Squad, and then it ended up becoming this film. So technically, it's the first one, but that's not what I'm looking at. I'm taking in consideration my perception of the film. So what worked for me? Technically a brilliant film. The cinematography is gorgeous. It is so well done. And that makes sense because the director is a cinematographer also. The sound design is so well done. The ambient noises. We see a lot of traveling in the film, going to different locations. And you can sense you're in that location because of that sound. The production design was so good. The music, the background music, Shushin Sham, yet again, outstanding. It literally elevated sequences for me, which otherwise I would be fine, but just because of music, it became a great scene to watch. The action setup. I'll talk more about the choreography later, but the setup of where the hero is, what situation it is, how the action will unfold. All of that was very well done. It was fun to watch. And of course the themes of the film, what it's trying to explore, how the investigation happens, how the system works, how there's politics at play. There are ego clashes within the police department, how they don't really get resources and they go out of their way to solve the crime and still are not appreciated. Now what didn't work for me, at many places in the film, the moments, the scenes didn't feel that convincing to me. Now constantly I was told that based on real events, but many places I could tell they have dramatized this a lot and it's not actually working in the context of the narrative. These moments were breaking the immersion for me, especially in the over-the-top sequences. There were certain actions committed by the characters which was breaking the narrative, breaking the tension you have been building. I also felt the film was dabbling with a lot of things and all of them were not coming together, not gelling well, and that's why many times it feels inconsistent. Now I would say the film is kind of long with 2 hour 40-minute runtime, but again it's a theatre film and I have watched it on OTT, so that can be a big difference. But I noticed that the film actually takes almost 35 minutes to set everything up. After that we finally start the main case that will be solved in the film. So I felt that was a very long time, and there was a lot of non-linear editing happening there. First we are in 2017, we jump to 2015 for a different case, and we come back, then certain events happen where the timeline is not given. So I felt a bit confused until we started with the main plot, and then it was fine. And in all those massy scenes, there were some brain fade moments where things didn't make sense, like why this scene is happening, why this character is doing this, it makes no sense. So these moments happened, and you have to give it to the makers. It's actually a very hard genre to massify because you don't get many moments to elevate. This genre is supposed to be, very grounded. Otherwise the investigation will fail, because if the hero can just, grab someone and beat someone, then just catch the culprit. Why is it taking so long for him to, do that? And I think the victory for me for this film is that they managed it. I really enjoyed the investigation part because it felt like I am part of it. I'm with the team trying to solve the crime, trying to catch the culprits, and we are so close to them, we are just gonna grab them and then they slip away. And then again we come close and then they slip away. So that keeps you engaged throughout. And there are two reasons for it. First one is Megastar Mammootty. The grace he has, the way he carries his character, you're always glued to the screen. And the second is the execution. The way the filmmaking tools are used to make the film cinematic, make it epic. The way the music enhances the scenes. It is glorifying the effort, the sacrifice, the courage of these policemen, that they are going against all odds to do their duty. Again, there are two ways to look at the film. It's on you how you look at it. Similarly, in this video I talked about how there are different ways to look at the box office clashes we are seeing. Two big films releasing on the same day is actually good for both of them. Why? Check it out here. And for me, my favorite moment of Kannur Squad was the first time Mammootty is revealed on screen with the Vipers.